Today in this video, we will see how we can create a two-stage pipeline that uses CodeDeploy to deploy a sample application from a code commit repository to a EC2 instance. So basically in this project, what we want to do, we want to use code commit repository from AWS, and then we want to use CodeDeploy AWS service. And using these two services, we should have one pipeline, that is AWS CodePipeline. And once pipeline is created, we want to deploy our code into one EC2 instance. So this is our project. So first thing, we need to have one user, IAM user basically. Once we are having user, what we will do, we will do our code commit into AWS code commit repository. So basically we will create one repository, and with the help of Git, we will commit that source code. Once source code is available in code commit repository, then we will do code deploy. So in the code deploy is also one service from the AWS. So here first we need to have one role that is called AWS code deploy role. So once role is there, and we will create a code deploy there, then we will create one pipeline, and in the pipeline we will define the stages, like first source stage and then deploy stage. Basically two stages we will define in this pipeline. In the pipeline, we will say where we want to deploy. We will give that particular EC2 instance information, and we will see here with this EC2 instance, we will have one IAM role as well, that is Amazon EC2 role for AWS code deploy. So basically two roles we need to create, one for AWS code deploy, another one for AWS EC2. So once our deployment is done, then with the help of public IP, we will try to access that particular website, whatever we are deploying. Actually here we are trying to deploy one simple website, and we need to see here one more thing. In the EC2 instance, we should have security group, and in the security group section we should have two things, SSH and the HTTP. So these two things we need to define, or two rules we need to define basically in security group, and we will have some user data as well. So what overall this complete scenario we want to achieve in this video. So we'll see step by step what we need to do. So first thing, we can say we should have one user, that is like developer, and that is username basically, developer in this case. And then we should have second steps, two roles should be there. One Amazon EC2 role for AWS code deploy. Second one is AWS code deploy role. So once roles are ready, so we are having one sample application, we want to deploy it basically. So we will create one code commit repository, and we will commit our changes using git commands. Then we will create one EC2 instance, and we will do code deploy agent using the user data basically, and we will ensure we will select that IAM role, whatever we have created in step 2 in this EC2 instance. Then we need to create our application in code deploy, where we will create basically application and code deploy deployment group, and there we need to ensure we are selecting this particular role as well. Then we will create our pipeline, and we will define the build stages, and then we will do some more changes in our website, and we will see whether that pipeline is automatically able to pick the new changes and deploy it into the EC2 or not. So basically we want to achieve these things. So we'll follow step-by-step approach. First, we will create one user, developer, or any other username we can give. Then we will create two roles there, and then we should have some code commit as well. So first we will see user, developer user is there or not. So this is my management console. I will go to IAM first. Let me open it. So here we can see it is opening actually. Let it open first. So my management console is open, and I am using IAM here. So under users, we can go and we can create one user. So in my case, developer user is already available. So I will continue with this user. If we want to create simple new user like this, we can simply create add users. And here we can give that name, maybe like test user. And here we can define credential for this particular user. I can say I'm using this user from the management console, or programmatically I want to use it. I can select this as well. And console password, what would be the password? Two options are there. First is auto generated password. AWS will generate one password for you, and you can go with this option and you can check this thing. So first time once you will log in, so AWS will ask you to change the password. If you don't want this, you can create custom password also. I can create some password here like this, and I can uncheck this because I'm giving custom password here, so this option is not required. I can simply say here next, and I can attach some policies with this user, or I can add these users to particular group, or I can directly go as well. Or if I'm having some group, I can attach this user to that particular group as well. For the time being, we are not doing anything here. We are simply just trying to see how to create a user. Like this, we will do. We will able to see user got created successfully. And this is the secret key and the secret access key basically for that particular user. We can close it. But for the project perspective, like I mentioned, already developer user is available. So we can go with that. So we no need to do anything here as of now. And the second thing, we need to create two roles. So roles part we will create here. We will say create role. So one role we need to create for EC2, another one is for CodeDeploy. So for which service we want to create the role? We want to create for EC2, and we will say next. And any permission we want to attach? Yes, we want to attach that particular permission, whatever I mentioned here. So we will take this, just copy and paste, we will able to get it. So we can see this service came here, this policy came here particular. I will select it and I will say next here. Now you can define the name to this role. So I can say EC2 role. We can give any name, that doesn't matter. 10th Feb, just to remember we created today. Some policy got attached with this. So we will simply scroll down and we will say yes, create role. So let it create. So role got created. We will create one more role for the code deploy. So service, we want to select under use case for other AWS services. We can say code deploy. It will come and we will select it and then scroll down and policy got attached with this. We'll say next. We will simply give code. We can give role name here, code deploy, and just to remember. And again, just create the role. So this role is also getting created. So roles got created successfully. So the next step is the user is there, both the roles are there. Now we should have some kind of repo in the code commit. That is the first stage we are going to achieve. In the services section, we will type code commit. Like this, it will come. Just click on this. If I see some name is already coming, we want to create our new repo. Simply click on this. Give some name here. My code repo. Something like this we can give. My code repo. Or we can give something meaningful. AWS DevOps repo like this. Description, if you want to give, we can put any description here just to show what exactly this repo or what belongs to this repo. In my case, I'm not giving anything. I'm simply say create this repo. So my repo got created. If we see here, this is the repo. As of now, nothing is there. And these are the connection steps to my repo. So I want to clone this repo into my local machine. I will say clone HTTPS. I will copy this basically. I will go to my local machine now. This is my local machine. We can see this is some folder is there and some code is available. So I want to run my code Here only, I will just type CMD command prompt in this particular repo. It will open. So I will say git clone and I will paste that URL. I will do enter here. It is cloning that particular repo here. So let it clone. So if we see, you appear to have cloned an empty repository. It means repository got cloned successfully. If we see here, AWS DevOps repo, it got created inside this one folder. Here, .git will get created. So .git means this is the cloned repository here. Now we want to put some code in this repo. So already I'm having some code. The zip file is there. Inside zip, this content is there. I'll simply say Control A, Control C. This code I will put in this repo, whatever we have created here. So Control V. Let me copy it again. I think it didn't copy. So we'll paste in this whatever repo we have created here. Okay, it got copied successfully. Now again we will go to command prompt, because if you see here, we are not having any code. So we need to push that code, right? So we need to use some git commands for committing and pushing that code from our local repository to this git repository here. So we will say this command wise, we are already having some commands. We can just say git add star all the files we want to add basically here. So we will say git add star. So not a git repository. Basically, if we are saying dir, this is the git repository, right? Because inside this AWS DevOps repo, inside this .git is there. So we need to move one directory, and then we will do dir. Yes, files are here, correct? So we want to run now the same command here. So basically, git add star. So file got added. Whatever these warnings are coming, we just ignore for the time being. Next command, we want to commit the thing. We will copy complete command and paste it. And then we want to push the change. We will say git push. So wait for some time. Once changes are pushed, we will go to our repository and verify. Okay, changes are pushed. We'll go to our repository. We will just refresh it once and we'll see. We will refresh it. This is our repo. Go inside this. We can see changes are there. Means files are available now. We can see the index.html. What is the content? Some HTML page is available. Basically, web content is available. Sample deployment something. So we have achieved this part. We are having now one repository in the CodeCommit repository, and source code is also available with that. So we have done first step, second, and third. Now we will create one EC2 instance. This EC2 instance will have CodeDeploy agent installed already because we want to give some user data there. So let's go to our management console again. We want to create one EC2 instance. We will say EC2 instance. And we will say here simply launch instance. We want to create a new instance here. Let it open. We will see only free tier 1 images. So we will go with the by default, the first one, whatever is coming. And we want to use free tier here. Ensure to select this one only. Otherwise it will charge. So here we want to see, okay, number of instances 1, whatever by default configuration is coming, we will go with that. But one thing, auto assign public IP, we want to enable it because we want some public IP to connect. And the important thing is IAM role. We have created one role, so we want to use that. We can see EC2 role 10th Feb is there. Just now we have created, so we want to use it. And then we want to give some user data in this here because we need to install CodeDeploy agent in EC2 machine. So for this, we will copy this complete thing. Just ensure to remove this space, otherwise it might not open. So I will just copy this thing in Notepad. so that I can remove this particular space from here. So remove, remove. So I'm just removing the space before copying this code into user data. Yes, so I will simply select it, and again I will go to my management console, and under user data I will copy this complete code, and I will say next. Storage, whatever default is coming, we will go with that. Yes, text we can add. We can give some name to our EC2 machine. We can say first pipeline and next. Security group, we understood in the slides, we should have SSH and HTTP enable here. So we will add HTTP as well. And this we will enable to anywhere. Means everyone will able to access this web page. Review and launch we will do, and launch it. Whatever default key pair is coming, I am using that. If you are not having any key pair, you can simply click on this, create a new one. So I'm already having, so I will not create new one. I will use existing one. I will simply say launch instance now. So it will take some time. So let it launch meanwhile. Meanwhile, we will move to the next step. That is basically step 5, code deploy. Now we want to create this stage. So what we will do now, we will again go to our management console. We will type services here, code deploy. Click on this code deploy service. Now here we want to create our code deploy. So first we need to create applications. So we can create one application like AWS DevOps app. Compute platform we need to select. We will say EC2 on premises. We will say create application. So that got created. Now we need to create deployment group. We will create on this, and we will give name AWS DevOps deployment group. Now we want to select the service role. So we have already one service role, right? This 10th Feb, and for the DevOps, we have created this one, right? Code deploy 10th Feb. Today only we have created one role, so we will select this one. In the deployment type, whatever default is coming in place, we will go with that. Environment configuration wise, we will take Amazon EC2 instances. We want to deploy there, and we need to give. I mean, in which EC2 instance we want to deploy. So key and pair we have given right there. So key, here we have given first pipeline. We will select this one. This is my EC2 instance key value, whatever we have given there. So we will scroll down. Anything else is required? No, whatever default is coming, we will go with that. Deployment setting, we will continue with the code deploy default all at once. Load balancer, we don't want load balancer as of now because it's a simple example. And we will simply say create deployment group. So deployment group got created. Meanwhile, we can check our EC2 instance also whether it's available or not. So it's loading. We'll see. Yes, EC2 instance is available, first pipeline. So we'll go to the steps. 5th step is also done. Now the main thing will come, creation of pipeline. In the pipeline, we will create the stages. So again, go to the management console, type here code pipeline. Just go on this service. So now we want to say we want to create one pipeline. So you can give pipeline name like my first pipeline. Service role, yes, we will say with create the new service role, whatever that my first pipeline is coming. During creation of this pipeline, let this service create one service role. So by default option is coming new service role. We will go with that, and we will check this. Allow AWS CodePipeline to create a service role so it can be used with this new pipeline. We will allow whatever default is coming. Advanced settings, we will not do anything. default whatever configuration is coming, we will go with that. Then we will say next. Source provider. So this is the first stage. In this case, source provider is CodeCommit repository. So we will select that repository. We will say AWS CodeCommit. Repository name, that is AWS DevOps. We have created this repo. Branch name, that is master branch. Other things, whatever default is coming, we will go with that. Do you want to build your application? No. We are creating only two-stage pipeline. One is code commit stage. Second is code deploy stage. Build, we are not doing as of now. Simply say skip build and skip it. Deploy. Yes, we are having code deploy enable. We want to use this service. Application name. Which application we are using? AWS DevOps app. This one we have created just now. Deployment group also we have created, and then we will say next. So this is a review page. We can review our pipeline related configuration, and we will simply say create pipeline. So it is complaining something. A pipeline called service role. This my first pipeline already exists. Duplicate name are not allowed. So it is saying pipeline name, my first pipeline is already exist. So we need to modify that name to some other name. So what we will do, we will go previous. So here in the, we are in deploy. So we will choose the step first here. Name we will give instead of first, maybe we can say my second pipeline. Okay. I just changed the name based on this error. So here, whatever we have selected, that information is already saved. We'll go with that. So here also build, anyhow we are skipping it. So just skip it. So deploy, already we have selected the configuration. So now we will try to create pipeline again. We will say create pipeline. Now it is not complaining and it is creating basically. We can see here. So we'll wait for some time. Let the pipeline be ready. So once pipeline is ready, it will automatically start as well. You can see pipeline is ready and it is starting. So what it is doing? It is fetching the changes from the code commit repository, and then it will make those changes and deploy into EC2 instance. We are not deploying the changes. Pipeline will deploy it. So this is basically automated process. If you see, commit is successfully done. Now deployment stage is happening. It's a two-stage pipeline. Stage one is source. Stage two is deploy. So deploy is going on. Once deploy is done, so basically what we need to do, we will go to our EC2 instance. We will take the public IP and we will try to access the web page. So we will wait for some time. Now we can see deployment is done successfully. Now we'll go to our EC2 instance. We'll copy the public IP, and now we will try to access our web page. So we'll mention our public IP. We can see it is able to launch. Now what we will do, we will go to our repository and we will try to modify our index.html page here. Basically, we are trying to see automatically pipeline is getting start or not. We'll modify, instead of sample deployment, I can modify some message here. My sample. Maybe we can give here application. We completely modified this because we can see here right now it is showing congratulations AWS code deployment like this, and it is saying sample deployment here, right? So we are modifying this message. Instead of this title will be something else. Now we will save it. We need to push this change again. So we will execute the same command. We will say commit this code, and then we want to push it, this code. Let me clear it, my console, and we want to say now git push. So we'll wait, let it push, it is updated. So once we will say -a option as well, that is for addition actually. So -a. Now we'll push the changes. So once changes are put, we'll directly go to our pipeline just to verify it is getting it is starting automatically or not. We see pipeline is here. We'll wait for some time and we'll see it is getting started or not automatically. Basically, we have committed some new code changes in our repository. So pipeline should trigger automatically. That is the point of automation. And we can see here it got committed the new changes and it started the redeployment of the things. So this is like fully completely automated pipeline is there. So with the new changes, we just need to refresh our page. New changes should be visible. We'll wait that it deploys. So once deployment is done, we will directly refresh the page. So this title sample app deployment should get changed here. So wait for now deployment is success. We will click and we will refresh simply. See my sample application. So page got refreshed, right? So our latest changes are available. So with this, we are able to understand now how we used this various combination or various AWS services like CodeCommit, CodeDeploy, CodePipeline, EC2 instances, and we achieved our completely automated pipeline. We did completely CI/CD process here. So that's it in this video. Thank you.